Today I'm going to be installing all these lights on the bed because my truck does not pass inspection currently. This is something that I kind of figured, but I was just waiting on to see what was going to happen, or see what I needed specifically. So when I built the bed, it was after I got the truck inspected last year. So I went the whole year, no lights on the bed, marker lights. So went to get inspected this year and got told what I need and where to put them. So I need at least 3 down the side at a 45 so you can see it from the back and the side. 1 in the middle, and then here's the front one at 45 so you can see it from the front and the side. And then you gotta have 3 lights in the back. So I'm on this side right now. What I've been doing is just drilling 1 hole at a time, putting a bolt through it so that way the holes line up, and then drilling the other one. I messed with the wiring a lot. This was a U-Haul, and this was an absolute mess over here. See, the electrical tape is kind of cheap. So there was a whole bunch of wires sticking out, and it was all zip tied together and all nasty. So there's extra, you have one of these plugs over here with the black and white, and then you have one of these plugs, just a single light, single connector, and they're both just sticking right out over here. So this one is marker lights. I assume it's for the box, because this was a U-Haul box truck. So this is marker lights. This goes on with the license plate lights, and then the brake lights as well, and the front lights. And this single one was a gray wire. Now it was for the interior light in the box. Here's that wire. That goes to the cab light. So when your door opens and your cab light's on, that turns on as well in the box. So I assume there was a big light in the middle, and that turned on with it. And that's where that went to. Here's that black one, and the white one was what was over there as well. It was split down there, so it wasn't on its own. It's also used for the brake light. Something I realized, and I don't know why it is the way it is, but the black is hot and the white is ground. I never came across that. I always thought, black is always ground, but in this case it's not. And looking at these lights I got, this is obviously the ground because there's a little ground tab, and then this would be the hot. So I thought that was weird, but I already bought 2 spools of wire, a black and red. So I'm like, I don't really know what to do. I'm used to black being ground or negative and red being positive, so I was like, might as well just use the red as the ground, or the negative, and keep using the black as the positive. So that's what I'm going to do. Even though I have a red instead of a white, I'm not going to go exchange the spool for that. So to get back to these plugs that were sticking out over here, I trimmed back the single wire for the cab light all the way back to here. I'm not quite sure what it could be used for now. I thought maybe some working lights, but then you have to have the door open or the dimmer switch all the way up. And I'm like, if I just want work lights, then I'll put a switch in. There's like 5 different plates for the switch panel in there, unused. So then this one, where I'm gonna tap into for marker lights, the black wire ran all the way back to here on its own, the hot wire. So I just trimmed that back to here, and then the white wire wide off up there to the light. So I just trimmed that Y and just tied in the back here. There's no sense running the wire from back there all the way to here, since I'm gonna use this as like my little hub for all the marker lights wiring. So that's about it. Got a couple wires coming out of this thing. I just put a little piece of wood up there, zip that there. On these lights here, I got them from a place called Southside Trailer, I think it's called, on Route 8. They're pretty nice. They're all made by, I think, Trucklite or something like that. Nice brackets, heavy duty, nice LED lights, pigtails. Everything was $125. So 6 brackets, 6 lights, 6 pigtails, 6 grommets, and then that triple light back here, all was $125. So I don't think it's that bad. This is a nice plate and nice stuff here. Contacts are already greased. Now, through bolting these, way overkill. I could have just took a couple lags up in there and made it real simple. But I already had these bolts, washers and nuts sitting around, so I'm like, might as well use them up. Don't know what else I could use them for. For wiring all this together, I'm going to make basically a big wiring harness. I could just run the ground or the negative to the frame and self-tap it. I actually bought lugs to do that with and self-tappers, but I got to thinking this is all temporary in my case because of the wood. So I only plan on having this deck on here a year, 2 years max. And so I want this to be temporary. I don't want to self-tap a bunch of holes, 6 holes in my frame when I don't really need to. And so I'm just going to wire it up like a big wiring harness. I got plenty of wire to do it with. I measured all the way over to the other rail because the wiring is on the other rail. You can see that. That's where the harness goes all the way back to the tailgate, to the bumper. So I measured about 64 inches and I cut myself about 70 to go over there. And I'm basically gonna just tie into over there a long string and just go all the way down. This side will all be 70-inch runs to the other frame rail and kind of just splice into the wire and solder it together. I'm not going to put any connectors in it. These lights have connectors on them if I ever need to take them off. So I'm not going to be putting those little butt connectors in there or anything. So one big wiring harness, because this bed definitely will be changed in the near future. So don't want to go making all those permanent arrangements. If you have a bed that's is going to stay here, I mean, you could have just very well used the grounding tab that's on the little pigtail. So you could just self-tap that right to your metal frame, but not me in this case. At least not yet, anyways. So here it is. All the marker lights. I still have to get some of that cable wrap. But I basically spliced everything together, and it looks really ugly, but it's all tucked in here. So that hides it, that cable wrap. But I ran out of it, so I have to get some for the back of here. No big deal. But all the lights are on. Doesn't interfere with the turn signal or any of that stuff, so it is safe to hook up to the little connector that comes off the side over here. Took a little more time, a lot more time than I wanted, but I routed everything real neatly, nicely down. Tied everything in nicely together, all the way up there too. Looks the same as that. And just continue all the way to the back. Not too bad, but it looks nice, so not worried how long it took. One last thing, the speakers in here were absolutely killing me. The passenger was stock, and the driver's side was blown out. Someone blew it out, and then replaced it with another junk speaker from Walmart. Probably someone did that on their own while they were renting it. They blew it up and the door speaker, and so it was just a big mess. So I got these 6.5 Rockfords T165s. A lot overkill, because I don't even have an amp. I'm just running it off the deck, which I did get an aftermarket deck with a removable faceplate. Just a cheap Pioneer, nothing special at all. It's, just a truck. So I got these speakers. I got them actually originally for my car. Crutchfield said that they weren't gonna fit, but I was like, I really wanted them to, but it would just be too much modification. So I knew for sure they would fit in the truck, so I got them anyway. And so here we go, putting them in the truck. And you really can't get them in too nice. You can only get these 3 screws in. Another one down here. This one's just too far off. But, I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, this whole thing, everything in here rattles anyway. So, that not having one screw in there isn't really a big deal. But these speakers do fit in there if you want something better. And they are 6.5. So, stock speaker size is 6.5 if you want to upgrade your door speakers. I should add that if you want to reuse the plug, you can. I figured why not. I was going to hardwire it, but just solder it together, but I was like, why not? So, the Rockfords are directional. That tweeter has to go facing up. You can see if it's sitting in the door, it's facing up. To point the sound up, and the leads are down here on the bottom, so it would be upside down, pointing your sound at the floor. So, in order to utilize the plug here, which the opening is right at the top, there's a little opening just for that plug already in the housing. So you just extend it a little bit, and then that's it. And then the door panel does, I already checked it, the door panel fits over these just fine, even with the tweeter sticking out. So, plenty of room for that. These U-Haul trucks, you always find little Easter eggs, little things that people have done over the years and random stuff. I took the speaker out probably a week ago. I just now found some glass here. So at some point, this window broke, which is kind of funny. But there's still glass. There's none. I already took this panel out, and there's no glass in the bottom of the door. So whoever replaced it did a good job with that. But just right behind the speaker, they didn't take the speaker out because there's just a few little shards of glass there. Kind of funny.